The dust came before the wind. It rose in slow, restless spirals from the cracked earth, clinging to bare feet and settling into the lines of tired faces. By midday, it coated everything: the rusted zinc roofs, the cassava leaves, the wooden stalls leaning against one another like old men sharing secrets. Even the sky seemed dimmed by it, a pale, bleached blue that offered no promise of rain. Kofi Adisa stood at the edge of the road, watching it all. The road itself was hardly worthy of the name. A long, uneven stretch of red earth that cut through the village like a scar, disappearing into the horizon where heat shimmered and bent the world. Once, trucks passed through here, traders, teachers, government officials who never stayed long. Now there was only silence, broken by the distant hum of insects and the occasional cry of a child. Kofi shifted the strap of his worn leather bag across his shoulder. It was the only thing about him that didn't belong here anymore. He had left this place years ago, carrying nothing but a scholarship letter and his mother's quiet prayers. Now he was back, taller, sharper, his voice shaped by lecture halls and foreign streets. But the land had not changed, or maybe it had. He crouched and let his fingers brush the soil. It was warm, dry, familiar. "Still stubborn," he murmured. A voice behind him answered, "Like the people who refuse to leave it." Kofi turned. Amina stood a few paces away, a metal basin balanced effortlessly on her hip. She hadn't changed much. Same steady eyes, same unreadable expression, but there was something heavier in her posture now, something that hadn't been there before. "Amina," he said, a small smile breaking through, "you still walk like you own the road. And you still talk like you left and came back important." Her lips curved slightly, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. They stood there for a moment, the years between them stretching and folding all at once. Kofi gestured toward the village. "It looks the same." Amina let out a quiet breath. "Look again." He followed her gaze. At first, he saw nothing new, just the same huts, the same tired fields, the same slow rhythm of survival. But then in the distance, beyond the far line of trees, something unnatural broke the horizon. A structure, tall, metallic, out of place. It caught the sun and threw it back in sharp, blinding flashes. Kofi frowned. "What is that?" Amina adjusted the basin on her hip. "They came 6 months ago." "Who?" "Men with helmets, big cars, papers." She paused. Smiles. Kofi's stomach tightened. And now they say this land is not ours." The words settled heavily between them. A child ran past, laughing, kicking up dust that swirled around their legs. Somewhere nearby, a radio crackled with static before slipping into a politician's voice. Distant, confident, promising change in a language polished far away from places like this. Kofi looked again at the structure in the distance. It didn't belong here, not in this quiet place where the loudest sounds used to be goats bleating and women calling children home at dusk. It stood like a warning, or a claim. "Did they explain?" he asked. Amina laughed softly without humor. "They explained to the chief, then they brought soldiers to explain to everyone else." Kofi felt something stir in his chest, anger, sharp and immediate. "Soldiers?" "Not many, just enough." She shifted her weight and looked at him properly now, studying his face as if searching for the boy she once knew. "You came back at a strange time, Kofi." He straightened. "Maybe it's the right time." "For what?" He hesitated. The answer came easily in his mind. Change, justice, something bigger than himself. But here in the heat and dust, those words felt fragile, almost foolish. Still, he said it. For something better. Amina held his gaze for a long moment, then she shook her head. "They all say that," she replied quietly. "The ones on the radio, the ones in the big cars. I'm not them." "No?" she said. "Not yet." The wind picked up then, sudden and dry, sweeping across the land. Dust rose again, thicker this time, swallowing the edges of the village and blurring the horizon. The metallic structure flickered in and out of view like something not entirely real. Kofi squinted into it, his jaw tightening. "What do they want from this place?" he asked. Amina's answer was simple. Everything. Silence followed. In the distance, a low rumble broke through the wind. Kofi turned his head. A convoy of vehicles appeared on the road, black gleaming, moving too fast for a place like this. The dust chased them as they approached, rising in violent clouds behind their tires. Children stopped playing. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even the radio seemed to fade into the background. The cars did not slow down. They cut through the village like a declaration. Kofi watched them pass, his reflection briefly caught in their darkened windows, distorted, unfamiliar. For a moment, he saw himself as they might see him. Not a son of this soil, not anymore. Just another man standing in the way. The convoy disappeared as quickly as it had come, leaving only dust and silence behind. Kofi exhaled slowly. Something had changed, not just in the village, in him. He looked down at his hands, still faintly stained with the red earth of home, then back at the road. "I won't let them take it," he said, more to himself than to Amina. But she heard him, and this time she didn't laugh. She only said, "Then you should be ready for what comes next." The wind died as suddenly as it had risen, and for a brief, fragile moment the village stood still, caught between what it had always been and what it was about